I suspect there are those in the congregation who enjoy popular music in the 40s and 50s, and the 60s. Would like to hear it again. I know I would. I have a memory, many memories of my childhood. And one of them that sticks out and comes to mind quite often, and it came to mind a few weeks ago as we studied this passage, and sent me to scribbling all over my notes. Notes to myself, for what I would say. It is a topic that is on the hearts of many people these days. You will never walk alone. Now, those that know music from the 40s and the 50s know exactly what I'm talking about. One does, two do. Have you ever heard that piece of music sung in the open air to a concert band, a brass band? It is the most beautiful thing you'll ever hear. You're maybe 150 or 200 feet back and you can still hear everything the band is playing. You can hear that woman who's singing this clearly because she's on a homemade amplifying system that helps to broadcast her voice. Every Sunday, once a year, she would sing that piece of music in the summer. The band gathered in a band shell about 500 feet away from the base of Brock's Monument. There are all kinds of grass there that slopes up the back. There must have been 500, 750 people at least who knew that band played and on occasion would have a vocalist. And they would come and listen as they played dance music, as they played big band music, as they played popular music and show tunes. This is a show tune, and it was Show Tune Sunday. And every time they played show tunes, they played You Will Never Walk Alone. And that lady sang it. I can hear it as I'm talking about it. 1945 musical carousel, Rodgers and Hammerstein. Look it up on YouTube, it's probably still there. Lady singing it isn't there because I'm not sure that she recorded it for other than the use of that particular concert. But it reminds me of the passage from 1 Kings. Elijah thought he was alone, that everyone was against him, and he was running away to die before they came and killed him. He had been, in his mind, deserted by even God. And so here he lays down under a broom tree, ready to die. He pours out his heart to God and says, I'm miserable, I want to die. My life is over, and goes to sleep. He rudely gets awakened shortly after he's asleep by an angel. He says, sit up, Elijah, sit up. Eat, there's food here, eat it, drink. So he eats and he drinks and he finishes what's there and he lays down and goes back to sleep, hoping not to be disturbed again until he should die. He'll probably live a little longer because he's been fed. He doesn't get asleep before the angel wakes him up again. Get up, Elijah, eat more, eat. You've got a long trip ahead of you and you haven't got the strength within yourself. The presence of God is with us, even if we don't think the presence of God is there. And it is promised to us again in that 16th chapter of John. A couple of weeks ago on television, there was a piece about the loss of silence in the world. The loss of silence. It's a wonderful thing. You're driving along the highway and there's a red light ahead. You come to a stop, your windows are up, the air conditioner is on, and you can hear music, but your radio's not on. It's 2 cars back of you, and it's got a wonderful bass beat. You know they've got 500-watt amplifiers in some of those cars. There's no room in the trunk for luggage. It's all speaker and amplifier. Boom, 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 boom. You give great gas mileage, you bounce down the road. We don't hear as well. We don't hear because things get in the way. People are shouting. You go to a sports event, you can't hear for the sound of the roar of people. You go to a concert, you need earplugs to even begin to dampen the sound enough to hear. I understand theaters are almost as bad these days. You sit flat against the screen so you can't see it, but you can sure hear it. Why can't we hear all these sounds? Are we afraid to hear what's out there? Or have we lost our ability to hear? We learn how to filter background sounds out. We don't hear them. When we are born, we hear everything. And as we grow, we learn to ignore a lot of what's there. And as our ears get older and we lose our hearing, we lose those background sounds. We don't have to ignore them anymore. We have a hard enough time concentrating on what's there to hear what's being said. Then we get fitted with hearing aids, and these modern hearing aids you want to watch out for. You will hear every sound that's ever been made. First time I put my new ones on, I went outside and I could hear roaring of cars going by, and I could hear every sound for 10 blocks, I swear. I got into the car and I could hear the tappets running up and down as the valves were lifted. Never heard them before. I thought the car was falling apart. It was so bad that when I sat in my chair and the air conditioner came on, it was roaring. The compressor was roaring outside. I couldn't hear anything. I had hearing aids. I paid $6,000 for them. I couldn't hear anything for the roar. I had to go back and have them tuned down a bit. Much better. It's now the question, can you hear the TV? Is me asking if it's loud enough for my wife. Not loud enough for me. It's always loud enough for me. I can turn the TV right down and still hear it well because these things know how to turn themselves up. We have lost our ability to hear. This TV show I saw, among the subjects talked about, it's a Sunday morning on CBS. The man was into sound. For years he had been going out into the wilderness, away from everything, to record the sounds of nature. The rustle of the leaves in the trees as the breeze and the wind went through. The sound of your feet stepping on the ground in a forest, the crinkle of dried leaves, or the soft sound of shoes going into soft soil, or walking on the pine needles that were there. The call of a bird here and there. Birds that hadn't been heard in a long time. All these sounds. And he played for the reporter with him a recording of a frog singing its song. One frog. Now he says, I'll put a chorus with the frog. And he played the chorus, and there were over 200 frogs singing. It was loud. They would drown out a single, but the single would join in the chorus. How long has it been since you've heard a chorus of frogs sing in the spring? I hear a few once in a while. And we're right on the edge of Victoria Park. It's right there. We can hardly hear them. You can't miss the geese when they go by. Hey, that's only a honk. and I can still hear the sound of cars on the street, although we're down the side of the building. And as I was writing this, the window was open beside me to bring a little breeze in, and I could hear the sound of cars on the road. And how far away do you think those cars were? 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks? They were over on Highway 8 bypass, the other side of Ottawa Street. And I'm over in the west side of town on Victoria Street. And I could hear a constant roar of cars. What's that, 3-4 miles away?
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, we went down and visited my grandmother and aunt in their apartment on the second floor of a house. Now, it was on Morrison Street, which is in the west end of Niagara Falls, and the falls itself is 5 miles away from them, and you could hear the roar of the falls on their balcony. You can't hear it now, because there's 10 feet less water going over that falls. So it doesn't make as much noise. Back to this man and his sound for a moment. He was talking to some skiers who had been up in the mountains skiing in the backwoods. And they were complaining about hearing a motorcycle when they were up there skiing. There were no roads for miles, and this wasn't a dirt bike. This was a motorcycle on a road. The road's 10 miles away from them. And they could hear a lone motorcycle as it slowed down and turned a bend. So he got to thinking about that. I wonder if that is really so. And he went and he tested it. And indeed, a lone motorcycle going around a bend in a road, he found the place where they had obviously heard that motorcycle. And it traveled at least 6 miles, 8 miles, and he could still pick it up, and he could have gone further. One motorcycle. Can you imagine what half a dozen would have sounded like? Or those that are tuned up a little? No wonder we can't hear anything. We can't even hear God speaking to us because we're too busy trying to filter out the sounds of life that get in the way of us trying to hear. How often have you tried to go somewhere and sit down, relax, and think for a bit, meditate? You read something and you want to stop and think about it for a bit. Read a passage of scripture, you want to think, what does it mean to me? Where can you find a quiet spot? Quiet spots are nice along the banks of rivers. There aren't any around that I know of that are that quiet. Now, if you went up Highway 11, started across, you'd find a spot or two up there. But who wants to drive 14 or 15 hours for half an hour of meditation? We don't have quiet like we used to have. Elijah running away. He's killed the false prophets, now the king is after him, and he's under a broom tree and he wants to die, and an angel wakes him up and tells him to eat because he's got a long journey that he can't make, but he's going to make it. And he goes and he talks to God, and God says, go back where you were and do some more. And remember that those that one doesn't get, the next one will, and the third one will pick up the rest. And there are still 7,000 who are loyal to me. You are not alone, Elijah. God didn't speak in the thunder. He didn't speak in the wind. He didn't speak in the rain. He didn't speak in the fire or the earthquake. He spoke in a gentle whisper. God doesn't shout when He talks to you. He whispers. He wants you to be still and know that He is God. The same thing Jesus said to his disciples. I am leaving you, but I will not leave you alone. I will send the Spirit to be with you. He will be your guide. He will teach you all things. He will comfort you. He will strengthen you. And I tell you now that no longer will I ask the Father to give you things, but you can ask the Father yourself, and He will give you what you ask. You will never be alone. True story is told of a firefighter cleaning up after a forest fire. Anybody here ever seen the results up close to the forest fire? They're devastating. Devastating to drive for miles and miles and see nothing but burned trees, and every once in a while, half a dozen will be standing green, firemen around them for some reason. He's cleaning up the ash, looking for hot spots to make sure the fire is out, and he sees a lump that could have a hot spot under it, and he kicks it aside and discovers that it's a dead bird, and underneath it, a live chick. The mother bird had covered that young bird with herself and given her life that that chick may have life and go on. The connection, of course, is that Jesus has given his life for us so that we do not have to suffer the way he suffered. He took our sin and died and went to hell and confronted Satan, took the keys of hell and death away from Satan, and then his Father raised him up to new life, life eternal. I want to leave you with the words of that song. You will never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain. Though your dreams be tossed and blown, walk on, with hope in your hearts, and you will never walk alone. Walk on, with hope in your hearts, and you will never